39th episode of Patient Education Program of Gunashila Hospital. I am Dr. Jyoti Menon, the Director of Infertility Services at the Gunashila Group of Hospitals, and with me I have one of our senior consultants, Dr. Raja Murali, and today we will be discussing about a very common factor which is going around and for which all of you requires more information, the effect of COVID-19 on pregnant and lactating women. So, Dr. Rajam, how exactly right now there is a lot of COVID which is going around the world, and what do the latest statistics say as far as all this is concerned?
As of now, as of today, there are about 2.9 crore individuals are infected in India, and this infection has resulted in about 3.63 lakh deaths in India. The most common symptoms are fever, cough, cold, sore throat, malaise, or body pain, headaches, and the less common symptoms are loss of taste, loss of smell, um, diarrhea, vomiting, etc. The most important symptom which differentiate a mild illness from a severe illness is difficulty in breathing. If you have difficulty in breathing, then it is a severe COVID infection.
So, and I'm sure all of you are very well aware. What Dr. Rajam is also trying to tell you here is that there is really no difference with the way COVID-19 presents in non-pregnant or pregnant women or
Yeah,
men or women. It's all very similar.
very similar.
And the
The symptom
transmission is also
very
like,
similar.
yeah, so
The
it's mostly
transmission
by,
is droplet transmission, nasopharyngeal airway, either through your breathing or through your coughing or when you're talking. The droplets, if a person is near to the person who is infected with COVID, the droplets spread to the person near them. So any contact or any closed contact living together, living in the same house, living in the same room, or talking to a person closely, or eating together, singing together, or in crowded public places, or traveling together can cause the infection.
yeah. So this is, like, I want to again reiterate, same. Whether you're pregnant, non-pregnant, man, woman, child, everybody can get infected the same way. Transmission is the same way. Symptoms are the same way. So this again, just I'm sure all of you are aware, but we want to highlight a couple of things. Dr. Rajam will tell you
Uh,
what
uh,
various tests which are already recommended.
So if you are suspicious of having COVID infection, if you have got fever, sore throat, or some kind of body ache, throat pain, or something, or if you have been exposed to a person who had COVID infection, who have a confirmed COVID infection, there are different tests you can go for if you are to know whether you are actively infected with COVID. The most accurate test will be the RT-PCR test, where they take a throat swab, a nasopharyngeal throat swab they'll take, and they do the RT-PCR test. These are the more accurate tests, and they take about 12 to 24 hours for the test report to come. There are few other tests which are called antigen tests. These are also nasopharyngeal test, nasopharyngeal swab test, but they get little faster results. They are called rapid tests, but sometimes they can be false negative. False negative in the sense that if you are negative, still you may have the infection. So whenever a negative test comes in a rapid test, it's still advisable to do the more accurate RT-PCR tests. And there are blood tests. There are blood tests to know whether you have been infected with COVID infection in the past.
So right now, I'm sure all of you are also very well aware, the nasopharyngeal swabs are the ones which will detect active infection,
Active infection.
and the blood test is going to tell you whether you've had infection in the past. So how do you protect? This is of course again which is very very
Very,
well
very
known, and it
well.
has to, it's also very shortly in short form known as WMD. Wash your hands frequently, wear mask, and do the social distancing.
Yes,
Very
6
very
feet.
important.
Hmm.
And of course right now the best way is to
Get vaccinated.
vaccinate. So why is being pregnant, make does it make you at a little higher risk for getting the infection as compared to a non-pregnant woman, and which is a particular group in these pregnant women which would be at a higher risk?
uh, pregnant women are not at a very high risk of contacting this infection. The group of pregnant women who can get the infection little more than the other group other group is older women, people who are obese or overweight, and people who have comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes, heart or lung disease. They may get the infection little more than pregnant women who do not have these comorbidities.
Yeah, but the pregnancy, because it does put them at a slightly higher risk as compared to a non-pregnant woman, probably they should ask for medical help earlier
Earlier.
and not persist with home quarantine, especially if they are living in a particular home which has got a lot of other people infected. And so they should
Seek
come
medical help
much
early.
earlier. So, what should be done if you get exposed?
Suppose in a household, if one person is COVID positive, and if a pregnant woman is exposed to that patient, she has to do her RT-PCR testing even if she has no symptoms. And if the RT-PCR is negative, then till the RT-PCR report comes,
I
she
say,
has to isolate herself, like she
yes.
has to self quarantine. And even if the RT-PCR is negative, she should look for symptoms for the next 14 days, because sometimes RT-PCR becomes positive little later in the infection.
So, if at all you're living in a household where other members are positive, you may be negative,
Hmm.
but you continue the self isolation and watch out for symptoms.
Symptoms.
So, and what about when they come for, do they have to come for more frequent checkups? Can they come for less frequent checkups? Do they have to come for checkups at all? What
Uh,
happens?
See, regular antenatal appointments, the important regular antenatal appointments should not change. It should be continued. There will not be attenders allowed along with them during consultations. They have to wear a medical mask, if required, face shield when they come for a consultation. Sometimes the tests or scans should be grouped together to make the number of visits lesser. And sometimes if a visit in person can be replaced through a phone call or a video consultation or through email, that is preferred than coming in person for a checkup.
So, even the obstetricians, the doctors who are treating you, also know that you have to have as less visits as possible physically. So, they will try to group the
Group.
tests together, like what Dr. Acham has already discussed. And also, like she said, suppose it's only a question of, reconfirming medication or finding out if the test results are okay, you can definitely do it over the phone or through a video call or even by mail. That is better, so the number of visits, physical visits to the hospital, can be reduced, but only on recommendation of your consulting obstetrician.
Yes.
Now this is something which is a lot of pregnant women have this kind of fear. My god, will my baby also become positive if at all I am infected with this
Hmm.
COVID-19 infection? So what do the guidelines say?
The thing is, it's not known clearly that whether from if a mother is COVID-19 infected, that too in the last trimester of pregnancy, the last few weeks of pregnancy, if she is COVID-19 infected, whether it will go on to the baby or not. At least it's not clearly known. But what they have found out is the fluid around the baby, which is called the amniotic fluid. It doesn't have they have tested for the virus in the amniotic fluid, and the active virus has not been found in the amniotic fluid, nor it is found in the breast milk of the mother. So the most probably from the mother, vertical transmission of COVID infection to the baby is very, very, very less. But still, there are few newborns who have been infected with COVID-19 infection, but they are not very clear whether it came from the mother or it came from the environment, from the delivery room, or from the nurse handling the baby, or from the birth attendant handling the baby. So it's still not very clear, but mostly it's a no.
So this is like any other COVID infection which
Infection.
happens in anybody. So,
In pregnancy also, the treatment doesn't differ. In mild illness, you can self isolate yourself at home, but you need to have a physician consultation, and you need to, whatever the physician has advised you, the medications, the blood test, and the monitoring like temperature, pulse rate, that saturation monitoring should continue at home and at frequent intervals, either through video conferencing or through in person, you can visit the physician. And
But here I again want to reiterate that what we have already discussed earlier, that your decision to go into a hospital should be at a much earlier level when you're pregnant than
in
if you get
non-preg,
symptoms in a non-pregnant person.
so seeking
In
medical
mild
help.
cases
Hmm.
when you're doing home quarantine.
Without
Hmm.
medical help, you should not self quarantine. Also, with
Yeah.
medical help, under guidance, you can self quarantine at home for 2 weeks. And in severe cases where there is difficulty of breathing, where there is high fever which is not subsiding with medications, an inpatient hospital care in a special isolation room may be required, where doctors will do few tests, they will give you prescribed medications for the infection to come down, and also sometimes you may require oxygen to help you breathe.
Yeah, here again, another thing which we probably have to again emphasize, Rajam, is that we must remember it is not only the mother. At the same time, any infection, still it's very not clearly understood, but we must find out whether that could affect the baby.
Hmm.
That is why the pregnant women have to be more aware and more alert to any change in symptoms, and they must seek medical help much earlier.
And also, ma'am, that the physiology of the body also changes in pregnancy. The immune responses changes in pregnancy. There is an increased risk of clot formation in pregnancy. So all these factors has to be considered while treating a pregnant woman, and they should seek medical help as and when required.
What about problems in pregnancy? COVID-19 per se, does it cause any kind of problems?
COVID, as far as in mild illness, COVID-19 does not cause any major complications or not even minor complications. It doesn't cause, but there is an increased risk of preterm birth, that is delivery before 37 weeks in COVID-infected pregnant women, and it is more in women who have severe illness or who have pneumonia. There is a risk of preterm birth. Other than that, there is no major complications associated with pregnancy
So,
in COVID infection in pregnancy.
correct. So, that is the reason if you get a mild illness, better you take care to see that it remains at that.
It reminds us that it
And
doesn't progress to a major illness.
correct. So, again and again, we are reiterating please seek medical help earlier. Then, this is another huge controversy. So, what does the world guideline say? Should everybody be delivered by cesarean? Why should they not have a
No,
normal
it
delivery?
is to be individualized. It is not that cesarean section should be done in all pregnant women who are infected with COVID-19 infections. Every case has to be individualized, and it is according to the patient preference, the medical indications, the obstetric indications, and the treating doctor in consultation with the physician who is treating the pregnant patient. It is a combined decision, and each case is individualized, and it's not always a cesarean section.
Okay. The only problem is there some problem with cesarean which is different from a normal delivery? What happens during a normal
In a
delivery, which
normal
I'm sure
delivery,
all of you are aware?
normal delivery, it happens for a longer period of time. So the mother has to be in the labor room for a longer period of time in her active phase of labor, and there is a even though she wears a medical mask, and the healthcare workers who are treating her are wearing a
All
personal protective equipment. Since the period of exposure is longer, and also there is a lot of fluid blood loss happening during delivery, so the risk of baby being infected while passing through the birth canal, that is not known, that is not clearly proven, but there is a chance that that baby get infected while passing through the birth canal. And also the healthcare the transmission may be little on the higher side if the COVID infection has happened very recently.
Yeah. So if it is a if she is in the active phase of the virus infection, COVID-19 virus infection, then vaginal delivery probably will cause more problem for rather than her to the attenders, to the healthcare workers who are attending on her. But as opposed to that, in a cesarean section, it is now known that they have a
The
lot more post-operative complication.
post-operative complications, because they are at a risk of thrombosis. COVID-19 patients are increased risk of thrombosis, and cesarean section they're immobilized for some time, so that increases the risk of thrombosis. And it is not that one is better than the other, and each case has to be individualized, and whatever is in the best interest of the patient and with the treating physician and the obstetrician, it should be a combined decision.
And
to
also,
keep the complications less and to maximize the efficacy.
correct. And again, in cesarean sections, like what, if at all you have to give anesthesia, general anesthesia is to
Yes,
be avoided.
avoided.
We have to give regional anesthesia only. So that is as far as. Then what about this thing? Suppose you decide that this patient has to be induced, or you have fixed a date for a cesarean for various medical reasons. Should it, should we all wait for all the pandemic to come down, or the first wave or the second wave or whatever is scheduled, or we can just proceed as this thing?
Yeah,
What do guidelines tell?
there is no need to postpone or reschedule yeah, any kind of planned induction of labor or planned C-section in asymptomatic women. And if in case of severe illness, maybe they should with the consultation of the treating physician and the obstetrician, they may come up with a plan as best possible. That in that case, each case has to be
Again, in
individualized.
individualized. So for mild cases, asymptomatic cases,
Cases there,
really there is no this thing. Or
no
correct, no postponement of either induction or planned
planned
cesarean.
caesareans
The
there.
problem comes if we are dealing with a severe
Severe
case. Then
cases.
we have to be guided by the physician. And if
And
at all there is a real urgent obstetric indication, or can we postpone till she becomes better?
better.
So this we have discussed already.
Yeah, always a regional anesthesia is preferred. In that case, you'll be conscious all the time, and also the oropharyngeal airway, that nose, mouth, and all will not be exposed either to the anesthetist, or the anesthetist will not get exposed to the patient.
Which is what happens if general anesthesia
Anesthesia
is
is
given.
given,
So the regional anesthetist is to be
usually
preferred,
preferred.
and this is what we've discussed. Then should anybody else be there
It
during?
is to better to have a single birth attendant during delivery, not to have multiple attenders. And that single birth attendant, she should not be a suspected or a confirmed case of COVID-19. Also, she should not be in contact with any COVID-19 patient in the past 14 days. So, you have to take the history and then allow them as the birth attendant.
Yeah, and they can help her also during the postnatal phase period
Period.
for help during lactation. So you'll have an individual person helping her.
Yes.
So anything, I think we've done this already, but these are the specific precautions
Yeah.
which have to be taken both by the patient.
Anybody who comes for a delivery or for a planned or or for a C-section, they have to have a COVID test, and definitely they have to wear a mask. And the healthcare worker will wear a personal protective equipment like gloves, mask, face shield, foot cover, in cases of suspected or unknown or confirmed case of COVID infection.
Okay, so we've done this. So now again, lactation. Can all women breastfeed their baby? Or is there any this thing that only this kind, not though they have to be separated for so many days? What do the world guidelines say now?
Actually, in breast milk, we have not found any active infection, so there is no reason to avoid or stop breastfeeding. The benefits of breastfeeding are much more than that risk of the baby being infected. But when you breastfeed the baby, or when you room in a baby, when you handle a baby, hand washing, wearing mask, wearing face shield, cleaning your surfaces, washing hands are very, very important. And with good respiratory hygiene, you can breastfeed the baby.
And the mother has to feed the mask, and mother has to follow all the COVID protocols before she handles the baby. Baby
Handles
doesn't require a mask.
baby, you should not wear a mask or a face shield for a baby.
So
So,
this is again what she
and
has
if you
again
are
told.
using a breast pump, it has to be cleaned between uses. It has to be cleaned, and all surfaces has to be cleaned with some disinfectant which kill viruses.
Yeah. So definitely breastfeeding is allowed, but with all these precautions in place. So the mother has to be educated about that.
Yes.
That is very important. Then what happens now?
So
How
if
long
you
should they continue like this? Is there a time limit for all this?
if the mother has mild illness, she can continue the safety protocols till about 10 days after the symptoms. If she has severe illness, she has to wait for 20 days. For 20 days, she has to follow all the safety precautions from the onset of symptoms. Suppose if she is an asymptomatic positive woman, it should be followed from the all safety precautions should be followed till 10 days after the COVID positive test.
So the mothers have to be careful, say on an average about 50 to 2 to 3 weeks after delivery, depending on what was the state of the infection at the time when they delivered. And now again, this is another huge controversy which is going around now. Is it safe to take the COVID-19 vaccine in pregnancy? Should we everybody take it? What is the world guidelines telling us now?
Actually, when they did the vaccine trials, they did not include any pregnant, lactating, or pediatric group in the vaccine trials. So the safety is not proven in this pregnant and lactating women. But as a general rule, vaccines which contain live viruses are contraindicated in
In pregnancy?
pregnancy. Vaccines which have killed viruses or inactivated viruses can be given in pregnancy. So all the COVID-19 vaccines are killed vaccines or inactivated vaccines. So as a general rule, if you see that it can be given in pregnancy, but the safety is not proven.
Yeah, and I
So
think in America and all, they have started using this thing in pregnant women, no? They have
yeah,
started trials in pregnant women. We should get some answers in a
yeah,
couple of months.
in the
Hmm.
Western world, that is in UK and US, the pregnant women are offered the vaccine with the same criteria as the general population, and they empower the women to make an informed choice. They educate the women, they tell about the risks, the benefits, and then they ask the women to take a choice whether she want to vaccinate or doesn't want to vaccinate.
But our Indian guidelines are
Uh,
right now
in
not,
Government of India,
it's still little hazy. Okay.
yes, in Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, they have not allowed pregnant women to take the vaccine only for the reason that the safety is not proven. They have not included in vaccine trials. The safety is not proven. So the Government of India is telling that pregnancy is a contraindication to vaccination. But the Federation of Obstetric and Gynecology Society of India, they recommend to broaden the vaccine drive and to include pregnant women, because the emerging world data is telling that it is safe to take in pregnant women. So at present, we cannot prescribe to pregnant women unless the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare makes a change in their recommendations and ask us to prescribe for pregnant women.
So as of now, as it stands today, we do not have any guidelines which give recommendations from the Government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, to vaccinate
Pregnant
either
and
pregnant women or lactating women.
lactating women,
The
yes.
lactating women has now opened up.
Uh,
Otherwise, for a long time it hadn't. Okay. Now, what about this? Does it help the vaccine cause a problem if you take it in pregnancy?
Actually, in Western world, they have given for many pregnant women, and it is unlikely to pose a risk for the pregnant women or for the unborn baby. So, with regard to miscarriage, with regard to developmental anomalies, with regard to the growth of the baby, or with regard to preterm birth, stillbirth, or neonatal death, there is no risk with the COVID vaccine. That's what they say. And they have
In
followed up almost about 800 to 1,000 pregnant women. They have followed up, and they have told that there is no risk. And actually, it benefits. Actually, the antibodies which are formed, they go through the placenta to the baby, and after the maternal vaccination, baby is protected. That's what they say.
Okay, and this data is the latest which we have got out from the American Vaccine Register
Mm.
as recently as March 2021. So, according to whatever studies they have done on pregnant women where they are vaccinated, it really does not cause harm either to the pregnancy
Or
or
to
to
the
the unborn child.
suppose a woman doesn't know that she is pregnant and she has taken her first dose. What should she
As
do, ma'am?
especially people with irregular periods, they do not know that they have conceived. And if they have gone and taken the vaccination, it really doesn't make any difference for if they continue the pregnancy. So it is not recommended that they terminate the pregnancy.
Mm.
So that is why, and at the same time, as of the guidelines today, you don't have to do a pregnancy test before you take a vaccine.
Yes, ma'am. And pregnancy planning and termination, or like it should not be based on the COVID-19 illness or the vaccination.
Yeah. So then once you get the vaccination again, it is not required to delay pregnancy.
Yeah, you
So
can
immediately you take, if you want, take your first dose of
vaccine.
vaccination,
And
and then if you want to come for any treatment in case you are not able to conceive, you come for the treatment.
Yes.
And then we can plan after your second dose is over, then we can plan to, you can have the, at least if you find out what is wrong, you can proceed with the pregnancy treatment immediately after that. So what about breastfeeding mother? Yes, right now this has come through.
Yeah, even the WHO and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is recommending to take in lactating women, and they can continue breastfeeding after vaccination. It is the same as in pregnant women. It offers whatever antibodies are formed after vaccination, they go through the breast milk, and when the mother feeds the baby, the baby also gets the protection.
Yeah, so that is, so it's quite safe. And now suppose a lady finds out that for some reason she has to undergo an abortion and her vaccination date is also scheduled. What happens? Should she delay the vaccine? Should she delay the abortion?
There's no
They
reason.
are independent
There is no
events.
reason to delay abortion. There is no reason to delay the vaccination also. She can take the vaccine, she can undergo the abortion.
So, no problem as far as that is concerned. And now, if we continue, now this is again a huge controversy about the oral contraceptive pills which are hormonal. Now, if these women have been, these we are talking about non-pregnant women, okay? If they, now we have finished discussing with pregnancy and what are the complications in pregnancy when you get COVID-19 infection, when you deliver, how should you deliver? Then we proceeded with problems for the newborn, if there are any, and if you can breastfeed or not. Now, if you go back to the non-pregnant women, what about contraception? Is OC pill totally contraindicated?
In mild symptoms, if they are moving about and all, if they are self-quarantined at home, they can continue the oral contraceptives. But if the patient is too much worried about the hormonal contraception, taking hormonal contraception in COVID illness, they can change to an alternative non-hormonal type of
Method of family planning. Okay.
contraception.
Mm.
In severe illness, it is advised not to continue the contraception. You should stop the hormonal contraception. In case if you are admitted, it should be definitely be stopped. And once the infection clears away, 2 weeks after the illness, you can restart your hormonal contraception.
Then again, another huge controversy going around the world on this. If you are on the oral contraceptive pills, can you take the vaccine?
You can take the vaccine, and there are two types of vaccine, as we all know, like Covishield and Covaxin. And this Covishield is a vector vaccine, and Covaxin is a inactivated vaccine. And people say like Covishield has a very slight risk of having a adverse effect of thrombosis. So when hormonal contraception, they prefer to take the inactivated form than the inactivated vaccine, that is Covaxin, than the Covishield, which is a um, vector vaccine. But what guidelines say is there is no, you should not delay to take the vaccine to wait for a specific type of vaccine. Women are using hormonal contraception can take any type of vaccine. That's what they
Whatever
say.
is available, please take it.
There is no need
Taking
to.
a vaccine is better than not taking it at all.
And the risk
Okay.
of thrombosis with hormonal contraception is very, very low compared to the benefits of the vaccine. So it's better to you take the vaccine, and then if you feel that you do not want to continue the hormonal contraception while taking the vaccine, alternative non-hormonal contraceptive methods can be chosen.
Are there any particular situations when vaccines should be avoided? Who should be told that, okay, please don't take the vaccination now? Is there any particular group?
Um, Suppose if you have taken another routine vaccination like an influenza vaccination or a Tdap vaccination, you have to wait for 2 weeks before you take the COVID vaccination. Suppose in an infected patient, suppose a patient gets in a, he has taken the first dose, but he got infected after the first dose. His second dose is due, means he cannot take the vaccine 12 weeks from the infection or 8 weeks from the recovery. He has to wait for 8 weeks after recovery to take the second dose of his vaccine. And also the major adverse events reported after vaccination are allergic reactions or a thrombosis, they say. So if you are a patient who is at a risk for thrombosis, or if you are a patient who has at a risk for allergic reactions, a physician consultation is recommended before you take the vaccine.
Yeah. So go and discuss with your physician who has understood all the problems you have, and then again weigh risk benefit of vaccination and then take a
If
call.
the benefit is more than the risk, it's better to take the vaccine.
Okay.
In most of the situations, the benefit of vaccine is more than the risk, and the benefit of vaccine is more than the infection.
Yes. So I think we have come to the end of our particular talk today on COVID 19 in pregnancy, lactation, also a little bit on who can take the vaccination, when it should be avoided, and what about oral contracept people who've been on oral contraceptives. So, thank you very much for listening in to us. If you have any further queries regarding this, you can connect with us either on Skype or Zoom. You can also mail us all your queries at to ask@gunashila.com. Thank you again for your patient
Thank you.
hearing. Thank you.